Cybernetic Horizon is here, and that means that the new dueling season is just around the corner. Cybernetic Horizon has a nice mix of cool new themes and new cards for old favorites. So I want to do a series of videos on some of the new stuff and some of the older stuff that I think people are going to enjoy. So let's start with one of the new themes. It's called Crusadia, and this is the latest in the line of themes related to the World Legacy cards. So that started back in Code of the Duelist with the World Chalice monsters and their World Legacy, the World Chalice. We followed those characters all throughout the sets last year, from Code of the Duelist all the way through Flames of Destruction. And if you think about it, as if it's an anime series, that was the first season of the show. And when we left off at the end of Flames of Destruction, well, our heroes were victorious, but there was a significant cost. And now here in Cybernetic Horizon, the ones who are left are starting to pick up the pieces and forming a new band, starting with Mech Knight Avram, who has now become Crusadia Maximus. So the theme of Crusadia is that it's these smaller monsters working together and lending their power to each other and to the enhanced Link monster versions of them. So they all have a shared ability that they can be special summoned to a zone that your Link monster is pointing to. And then these two Link monsters give you searches when an effect monster is special summoned to a zone that they point to. And then the ultimate Link monster of the theme, Crusadia Equimax, can negate the effects of any card on your opponent's field for the rest of the turn. So to show you how the teamwork of this deck works, basically any two of these monsters can be turned into Crusadia Equimax with at least one monster pointing to it, or Equimax pointing to at least one monster, which means it's going to get an attack boost, and you're going to have something to tribute for the effect of Equimax. And let me show you real fast just how that works. All right, so let's say that we've got, let's take Arborea, and let's take Leonis. Sure. Now, we will start by normal summoning Crusadia Leonis. The link materials of Crusadia Magius are just one Crusadia monster other than this guy. So we link summon Magius. Next, now we have a link arrow pointing to one of our zones, so we can special summon Arborea. Because we special summoned an effect monster to a zone that Magius is pointing to, we get to search our deck for another Crusadia monster. And I'm going to go ahead and take Draco. Okay. So next, we link summon again. And we're going to make Regulex here, who takes two effect monsters, including at least one Crusadia monster. Now, it's notable that the materials do not both have to be Crusadia monsters. So you could do something like play Hornet Drones and turn it into Kagari to trigger this effect, and then use both for Crusadia Regulex. In fact, that might not be a bad idea at all. All right, here he is, Regulex. Now we've got that Crusadia Draco in our hand, and we are going to special summon that. Okay, that activates both Draco's ability and Regulex's effect. So Regulex gets us a Crusadia spell or trap from our deck, and Draco gets us a Crusadia monster back from the graveyard. So we started off by normal summoning Leonis. So we're going to add that back to our hand. It's important to remember which card you normal summon and which card you special summon, because you can only special summon each of them by their own effect once per turn. All right, and then with Regulex, we have our choice between Crusadia Power, which just makes you invulnerable to card effects except your own for the turn. Quick play spells, it's quite good. Crusadia Revival, which gives your deck a lot of big damage potential, boosts your Link monsters by 500 attack each, and you can use it to give one of your Link monsters the ability to attack all of your opponent's monsters once each. The rest of your monsters can't attack though, and that's fine because they're probably being pointed to by your big Link monster and can't attack anyway. And then there's Crusadia Vanguard, which forces your opponent into attacking only your Link monster. Now your Link monsters are all getting their attack points boosted by the attack of everything that they're pointing to. So all of these smaller monsters are pretty good targets for your opponent's attacks to weaken the big monster. But with Crusadia Vanguard, you can force them to only attack the big monster, and they're out of luck if they're trying to weaken it. You could also use this to trade off one of your Crusadia or World Legacy monsters by attributing it to special summon a different one from your deck. You can do that when you activate this card. So let's say that I take, let's take power. Power is always a good choice because there are plenty of effects your opponent wants to use to get rid of your monster or do other horrible things to it, and you don't want that to happen. Now, the materials on Equimax are 2+ effect monsters, including a Link monster. We have that here. There we go. And where's my Leonis? Here he is. Now, since we haven't special summoned Leonis yet, we can do that. And now we have a Crusadia Equimax on the field. He's being boosted up to 3,200 because he points to Leonis. And because of Leonis, we can also give him the ability to inflict piercing battle damage. So actually, in this case, we probably should have taken Revival. But that's something that you'll learn more about as you play with the deck. So in addition to the Crusadia monsters, you want to fill your deck with as many things that you can special summon from your hand as possible. Like I mentioned before, the Sky Strikers are pretty good because you can turn the token from Hornet Drones into an effect monster. But there is also a new World Legacy card in Cybernetic Horizon that you're probably going to want to play at least one or two of in your deck, and that is World Legacy World Crown. This can be special summoned from your hand to a zone your Link monster points to. There it is. And you can also tribute it to negate the activated effect of a monster that was special summoned from the extra deck and destroy it. So you can only use Equimax's effect once per turn, but if you have a setup like this, you can theoretically negate two things. Now, so we searched multiple times in that combo, and we all know that right now Droll and Lockbird is a card that sees a whole lot of play. So what do we do when we get drolled after back here, something like this? Well, this is a deck where you might want a card like Iron Dragon Tiamaton. So you've already got two cards here. If you can set anything, or better yet, play something like Pinpoint Landing that's going to let you draw a card once per turn, you'll have a full column, and thus you could activate the effect of Tiamaton to summon it from your hand. And you would want to summon it over here. So if there are at least 3 cards in a column, Tiamaton can be special summoned from your hand during either player's turn. When it's special summoned, it wipes out every card in the column it's in, and then the rest of the zones in that column cannot be used. So in a case where you had, say, Pinpoint Landing, you could get a draw out of it on your own turn in addition to your search. You could get another draw out of it on your opponent's turn with Tiamaton while also locking them out of the extra monster zone. Just be careful. If you get stuck right here, this Magius is pretty small, so you might really want to have something like a World Crown so that its attack points will be a little bit higher. But that's not the only World Legacy card that you might want to be working with. So we're dealing with Link monsters here, right? And we're trying to make them attack a bunch of monsters and do a whole lot of damage. And one way to get a whole lot of damage through is by reducing your opponent's monster's attack to 0 with World Legacy World Lance from Flames of Destruction. So you can just send this from your hand to the graveyard when a Link monster is battling, and your opponent's monster's attack will drop to 0. Other World Legacy cards you might want to use include World Legacy Succession from Flames of Destruction. You're doing a lot of special summoning to zones that your Link monsters point to, and this is basically Monster Reborn that does that. Special summons to a zone your Link monster points to. And if you're going to use multiple World Legacy cards, let's say you're going to use all 3 of these, maybe something like World Legacy Secrets, if you wanted to do kind of spicy Mech Knight version of the deck, you can also add World Legacy Survivor. It's another card from Cybernetic Horizon, excavates your top 5, you look for a World Legacy card or crawler monster. If you find one, you can add it to your hand, and the rest of the cards go to the graveyard. So it's a great way to find these cards that are otherwise unsearchable. Crusadia it's a very cool deck that operates a little differently than everything else. It's a more simple deck using Link monsters, whereas World Chalice was more of a very combo-heavy deck that plays a lot of Link monsters. This just makes one really big Link monster. It's a lot easier to understand and learn how to play. And I think it's a pretty fun deck to play. I enjoy it a lot. I hope you will too, and I hope you'll come back to see the rest of our videos about Cybernetic Horizon.